One thing you learn about, in this game of show business is there truly are no real close friends. I mean, really, when you look at it, you always find these celebrity fallouts, don't you? They're the best of friends, and then years later, somebody writes a book and they realize that they weren't that chummy after all. Now you can understand why I work alone, can't you? On a serious note, although actually I have to say I do get on with most people. But when you work in television, there's always that underlying feeling that somebody's ready to, shall we say, upserve you, try and push you out, talk to the boss behind your back, always want more money, better billing. It doesn't matter whether you're in theatre, the recorded industry, television, film. Somebody somewhere really wants a slice of the action. This is what's happening now, as some might suggest, to the disgraced television presenter Philip Schofield. He, of course, was the darling of daytime TV over here, alongside his co-host for many years, 14 years plus, Holly Willoughby. And then, of course, he had that disgrace, although when you look at what's gone on in the last few months, perhaps not as dramatic as first thought. But that's television. ITV cut him loose and basically hung him out to dry. They offered him therapy, that was about it. Philip himself, very graciously I thought, decided to keep out of the limelight. But what you have to remember is there's always somebody ready to capitalise upon you. Step forward this man, currently a part-time host on the little watched Good Morning Britain over here in the United Kingdom, Richard Madeley. He was the original host way back in 1988 of said show This Morning, which was eventually taken over by Philip Schofield. What's interesting here, though, is this. Philip was asked what did he think about the recent turmoil and problems that really Philip had encountered. And he said he thought it was savage and very cruel the way that he'd been treated, but he'd reached out to him and said, in time these things will pass. And you think, oh, that's very nice, very generous. Lower down that particular interview, you note, of course, that Richard himself could have easily said, I'd rather not speak about that particular incident, it's very close to my heart and Philip's a dear friend. No. You see, the thing is, Richard's all about one thing, Richard himself. And that is because he was co-mentioning and helping promote his daughter and his son-in-law's brand new docuseries on ITV2, all about their first baby. You see how this works now. Now, as I said, he could have just simply sidestepped that particular question and said he'd rather not get into discussion. No more would have been pushed. But Richard knows, by mentioning, of course, someone who was in the headlines throughout the summer, he too will get headlines for his latest project for his daughter. I go back to the original point of this particular video. There truly are no friends in show business. If Philip Schofield was indeed watching or reading that particular interview, he would have thought, oh, very nice. And then realised, of course, that his name is being hijacked to ensure that people are aware of this latest particular project. Richard, at 67 years old, but looks a decade younger, some say, is riding high, as I say, as a part-time host on Good Morning Britain. His wife, Judy, a very much loved television presenter herself, has decided to keep out of the limelight and write books, which are very successful. Richard clearly still craves some elements of the limelight, even without Judy, and at the expense, some might say, of others. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.